Live. All right. Hey everybody, what is up? Glad to be here live on YouTube. I haven't done this in so while, so that I already started talking to you guys, and then I forgot there's a button that says go live that you have to actually click on to go live. So thank you everybody for coming here. It seems amazing. I can't even see the stats about how many people are live right now. Let me know in the comments that you can hear me and see me fine. Again, I haven't done a stream on YouTube for a while, so I don't know that all the setup is working properly. Drop in a comment. Let me know where you're coming from today. Super appreciate. We are in crazy times right now, specifically, as I've seen some people mention in the comments. And yeah, we can talk about everything that's going on in the world right now. I'm super happy that you've made the time to be with us today. I have an awesome presentation for you today. Good, we can hear you. Good. All right, everybody. So let's get started. So as I've mentioned, I have a really cool presentation for you today. Let me just switch so you can see my screen. All right, so I have a really cool presentation for you today. It's called How to Build a 20K Website in 7 Hours. It's going to be about, I think, like 1 hour. I'm going to share some really cool lessons with you that I'm pretty sure you'll have an amazing aha moments here. We're also going to talk about the new Webflow Masterclass. So if you have any questions about that, we're going to do a full-on Q&A at the end. I'm also opening to talking about everything current market situation with the whole coronavirus thing, or any other questions or concerns that you have about in general. Oh my God, amazing. I can see people from Belgium, Pakistan, Argentina, Texas, Amsterdam, Hulon. Amazing. Nigeria, Italy's in the house. Amazing. All right. So glad to have all of you here with us today. And it's so fun that let me just drop in the camera for 1 second. It's so fun that we can have this. This is going to be a little bit more long-term format. Usually we're just like few minutes together. And today is going to be more kind of in-depth thing. Also interactive because you'll be able to ask questions. So it's going to be super awesome. Let's dive into it. Just want to mention, I won't be looking at the comments through the whole time just because I'll be doing the presentation, but every once in a while I'll go take a look. And at the end, so you want to stay to the end when we're going to have the conversation and Q&A and everything. So make sure you stay to the end. Now, let's get started, and I'll just go ahead and jump into this. All right, so why am I calling this presentation How to Build a 20K Website in 7 Hours? I know it sounds a little bit extreme. So here's actually the website that I'm referring to. This is actually the last client website that I did. You might have seen this for a company called Pretentex because I did a pretty popular case study here on my YouTube channel about how I've built this. And this was actually the only project that I worked on last year during 2019, and it started off as a 20K website, which is why I called the presentation 20K Website in 7 Hours, because check out, this is a screenshot from Timely. Timely is the application that I use to track all the time for all of my projects. And as you can see here, I'm also tracking, so this is the project client work Pretentex, and I can see that on Webflow, the time it took me to develop this was 6 hours and 35 minutes. Now, I know what you're probably asking. Is this the whole time for you worked on the project? Obviously no, and you can see on the top it says 125 hours worked on the project. But from that, most of it was based on strategy, deciding, on the story, the messaging, working through the design. But the actual development of it was 6 hours and 35 minutes. However, when it comes to pricing the project, the fact that I also developed it was a huge part of it. So a lot of the budget goes into development, and that was actually just 6 hours and 35 minutes, which what I'm saying here is that this tool, Webflow, helps me to bring in a lot more profitability into my business. This website, by the way, expanded and ended up being kind of a $50,000 project that took the whole year. And so it was more than 6 hours, but it was actually at the end much more profitable. And at the end of the day, because the Webflow part is so profitable, it ended up being something like, I think I did the calculation, it ended up being like the value of an hour on this project project was $250. So across everything that I did. So still, and this is the key driver of the profitability, the speed that I was able to do the actual development. Okay, so who is this presentation for, and who am I talking about? Obviously, we're going to be talking a lot about Webflow in this presentation. So I think the people that would really make the most of it is freelance designers. You probably want to bring more value to your clients, specifically in the time that we're going to be hitting on this really heavy year 2020. You want to be able to bring more value to have a competitive advantage in the marketplace and be more profitable. But also as a designer, you probably want to move away from templates or being dependent on develops. You want to be able to do your work from start to finish. If so, this is going to be totally for you. Now, if you're a designer that's currently considering freelance, maybe you're working at an agency full-time, maybe you're working at a company, but you're thinking, hey, it would be awesome to be a freelancer, or you're not sure how this year is going to work out in terms of are you still going to have a job, then I think this is going to be a very, very valuable skill. And I'll show you a graph that really supports this in a few minutes. Being able to develop websites visually, there's actually a term for this, visual developer, is becoming a very, very valuable skill, obviously, that you can do remotely as a freelancer. So I think this is going to be super valuable for you. All right, you're going to get an edge in the marketplace. However, I also want to state who is this not for. I'm usually talking, and most of my content is oriented for designers, and that's what I'm talking to. But I know a lot of times people are coming here, maybe you're a developer, maybe you're just thinking about a career switch, or you're actually not working as a designer right now. So I have to say that this presentation, I'm not sure that it's going to be super helpful for you. You're welcome to stay, but it's not going to be super helpful for you because we're not going to be actually talking about design, and we actually assume that you already have a design to work with, right? Because we're going to be talking a lot about Webflow, and Webflow is actually just the technical aspect of taking a design that you already have and converting it into a live functional website. So if you're not a designer, I'm not sure this is going to be super helpful for you, but yeah, you're welcome to stay. So I want to give a little bit of context about me. I don't know how familiar you are with me. I just when I started the presentation, I saw somebody that said, like, I just discovered you a few days ago, and so I assume that, and maybe some people are here are from Instagram, and so you don't really know who I am and what's my story. So few words about me just to give you a little bit of context. So I've been a full-time freelance designer for the past six or 7 years, I think. To this year, 2020 is actually the first year where I'm not going to do client work, and I've been sharing on YouTube kind of yearly earnings for the past 3 or 4 years. So you can actually go back in time and see how much money I made, during 2019, during 2018, 2017, or 2016, and the last year where I did like full-time freelance, which was 2018, I did over $300,000. So that's where I was as a freelancer. Now, I also have this YouTube channel. You know it because you're here right now. I've been uploading almost daily. I started off as a daily vlog where I started like over 4 years ago, documenting my life as a freelance designer. Now the content has shifted a little bit into more of an educational content where it's basically me talking to the camera, but it started off as kind of a daily vlog just to really document how I work and think as a designer. And then last year, we've started Flux Academy to help other designers grow and succeed in their business. Over the first year of business, we already helped 2,000 students. And, I had the I was fortunate enough to work on some projects that were featured in some fancy tech magazines. Most of my work as a freelance designer, I worked with tech startups. So if you're in tech, those outlets, media outlets might be familiar to you. If you're not, then not. But those are kind of big names in the tech industry. Now, also super important to me personally, and I do talk about this a lot here on my YouTube channel. I'm married. I got 2 kids. Family is important to me, and I as much as I love business and I talk about business and I'm always growth minded and I always want to, make more money and stuff like that, it's also super important to me to be with my family. Right now, this is a super critical time, as you know. So because of the coronavirus right now, I'm based in Israel. If I didn't say, I'm from Tel Aviv, Israel. We don't have schools for the kids. So in the following period of time, I'll probably be a lot at home. Right now, I'm fortunate that I can get to the office, but I'll probably be spending at least half the time at home because I want to be with my family. I want to take care of them during this period. So either I'll be working full time from home, or at least part-time from home, just to spend time with them. So for me, something that's really important is not to be all in on work and business instead of your family. I need to find a way to balance and to make this work. So here's my story about how my let's say business trajectory or career trajectory went and how Webflow became a part of this. So I started off my career as an advertising agency, like really, really low level. Before I went to design school or anything, I was just kind of like a low level graphic designer, fixing typos, fixing kerning, making logo biggers, all those cliches. That was me. Actually, I see that you can't see the slide. All right, let me move my face over there. So this is me living, after I worked in an advertising agency, I worked in a branding agency. And in 2012, I decided to leave because at that agency, which by the way was an amazing agency, one of the best agencies in Israel, and I worked on really cool branding projects. However, at least 2 or 3 times per week, I had to stay past midnight because there was an emergency client project and I was really burnt out. I couldn't do this anymore. I was just getting married. I knew I wanted to start a family. So I was thinking like, hey, making a low salary plus working, every night past midnight 2-3 times, that's not a way to start a family. I need to find another way to do this. So I left there. I worked for a year at a startup company, and then I said, you know what, I think I'm not an employee material. I need to figure this out on my own. And so I went on my own. Let me see. Yep. I went on my own in 2013. But that wasn't really easy, and the reason that it wasn't easy was I wanted to move away. When I started freelancing, when I started doing websites, I started at a really low, I guess, where a lot of people get started, maybe $200, $250 per website. And I wanted to move above that. I realized that at a pretty early stage, I realized that if I want to move away from those low budget clients and projects, I need to move away from templates and what everybody else is doing and try to make my work a little bit more bespoke and a little bit more custom. And so I started to work with developers to help me, build the website that I designed. This was very frustrating because every time I wanted to do something, I had to explain to them, all right, so here, make this font this size and make it this size, and I want this to animate this way. So there was a lot of frustration in terms of communication. A lot of the budget would go to them, obviously. That's at least, that's how things are. Sometimes development is more valued than the design because they actually make things live. We just, design them, but it's until it's functional. Clients can't do anything with it. So at the end of the day, developers end up taking a big chunk of stuff. So I was very, very frustrated. And then, let me see. And then on 2014, I had a very, very major discovery. So back at that point, just to give a little bit of context, I was freelancing. I was also trying to start kind of a side business with 2 partners. It was called the New School. And back then, we were trying to do some events for designers locally in Tel Aviv. And so our first event that we did, I know most of you probably can't see this because can't read this because this is in Hebrew, but we wanted to do a local event where we brought in some designers to talk about how to become an independent designer. And so we wanted to build this landing page, basically just a landing page with a schedule of the event, a little map, and allow people to buy tickets. And this landing page took us about a week to develop. I know it might sound funny, but this page just to make sure it's responsive, to make sure that it's connected, the form is connected, to make sure that everything looks well. It took us about a week to develop this thing, between me ping-ponging emails, me and the developer. And then after we did this, I actually stumbled upon Webflow. Now, that's the email that I sent to my friends. You probably can't read it again, so I'll read it to you because it's in Hebrew. But you can see the date is March 3rd, 2014, and the title of this email, the subject line is, "Oh my God." And basically what I wrote here was like, you guys, you can't believe this page that I just discovered here today. Basically, I did in an hour what took us a week of work to do. And it's responsive and it supports Hebrew and blah, blah, blah. And so I was asking my developer friend to check the code and see if it's legit. And this moment was literally a pivotal moment in my life, because once we've started to implement this business, both in the new school when we started to build a blog and build a whole online business, I've also started to use this together with my clients, and then started to build websites that started to look like this. And they were, I started charging a minimum $10,000 per website. And this website, which is another website that I did, I think in 2018 or something, also a website, $10,000 website, where it took about 7 hours to develop. And, there were other websites. This one, for example, is for an investment firm here in Israel. It looks super, super simple, and it is a very, very simple website, but still was able to charge $10,000 for the whole project, but took about an hour to develop. So this thing really, really helped to transform my business. So moving away from kind of a low salary and making $35,000 per year, I reached the point where these web projects were making me over $200,000 per year. And I've kind of reduced my 12-hour workday, got much more balance into my life, much less stress now that I didn't have to, argue and develop and work together with my developers. And, I got control over my life, right? Instead of having to depend on other people, I would be able to, do things on my own, take a project from start to finish, charge more for it, and do it actually faster. And so this was really a transformative moment in my life. Now I want to share some thoughts from other people, just so you know this is not something that just happened to me. So this is from Paul. This particular project has already been completed, and I paid a developer $1,200 to code it for me. I set up a new Webflow project, and I finished it within 3 hours. 3 hours. At this point, I realized I wasn't going back. So this is like one-to-one what happened to me as well. This is Paul Hanna. Another one from Emil said, the fact that I can now develop websites without having to write a single line of code is amazing to me. I already doubled my hourly rate, and I can see the difference in my clients' reaction to my work and professionalism. So again, this really happens to a lot of people who turn on Webflow and make this switch. So let's talk about what is Webflow. I hope some of you are familiar with it, because I talk a lot about it in my YouTube channel, but maybe you're just kind of intrigued and not really sure. So, what's the difference between this and other platforms, between, WordPress, Wix, whatever. So here's how I look at the difference. So you've probably heard about website builders, right? Again, Squarespace, Wix are pretty famous ones. But Webflow, I don't see Webflow as a website builder. So Webflow for me is actually, it's a development tool. You actually code with it, but instead of learning how to code in terms of learning the semantics, this property is called this, and this is how you code it, and then you put a semicolon, which is something that I always struggled with when I try to learn how to develop, you get a UI for it, right? So you have, if you look here to the right side, you can see there's a panel, which sometimes looks very familiar from, our design software, and you can literally manipulate code within, by clicking a few buttons. So this is incredible. So with the core understanding here is that, unlike website builders, which basically kind of dumb down things for you. So they create components and they create templates and they create elements for you to use. And by doing that, they're basically abstracting the code in a way that really limits what you can do here. But here with Webflow, the code hasn't been abstracted and dumped down. They just gave you access to manipulate it without, knowing all the technical details. So that's basically allows you to do everything you want. Which is very, very, very powerful. So you can build any type of website, and I'm just showing here just like random works that some of my students did to show you that really you can basically build almost anything with it. Now here's the really, really crazy thing, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into this. So this is a screenshot from a Word, which is basically, for me, it's one of my favorite, awards, inspiration website. You're probably pretty much familiar with it as well. And this is a website of Hiko. Hiko is really a great agency from Chicago. And they've actually won multiple awards. And the beautiful thing about them is that they only work with Webflow. So all the website that they won awards for were built with Webflow. Now, for me, this is groundbreaking because it means that we designers, we can now build really award-winning websites that are beautiful, that have, very slick interactions and animation and all of that, and we don't have to hire other people for it. For me, it was kind of given that when I go to awards or any of these amazing websites, it's probably they have a whole team of developers there building on this website, making sure that it's slick and all of that stuff. And the fact that just two designers can sit down and do this, build award-winning website on themselves, to me, that's mind-breaking. So let me take a little bit of water here. All right. Just catching up on the comments here. I will take a look later. If I'll get into the questions right now, we'll never get out of it. So you're probably asking yourself, again, what's the difference between this and WordPress and all the other things? So if you've probably heard of WordPress, it's the most famous CMS in the world. And by CMS, if you don't know what CMS is, so CMS stands for Content Management System. So it basically means a website is not static, right? You upload it, but clients need to update it, right? They need to create new blog posts. They need to update the team page. They need to change their whatever, the title on the homepage. They need to edit stuff, and that's why we have content management systems. However, WordPress, which is kind of the famous one, and we can go deeper into the differences. I've recently created here on YouTube a video comparing, or at least saying why I think Webflow is so much better than WordPress. I got a lot of hate for it because I'm passionate about this, and some people were like, no, this video is sponsored. No, guys, if I thought WordPress was better, I would teach WordPress, but I honestly think that for designers and for the clients themselves, a lot of times Webflow is just a much better solution, because if you can see this video here, which basically shows you that you can edit the website visually on the website, and for clients this is just such a better user experience. And I think if you'll ask most clients, they probably hate maintaining WordPress website or Wix website or Squarespace website, and with Webflow comes with an amazing content management system, so easy and fun and seamless to update. I won't dive into all the other things right now, like security and stuff like that, but it's just much better experience from the client's perspective. So that's really, really amazing. Now, I don't know why I can't move forward. Here's what I'm super, super excited about. Okay, this is Google Trends, and you can try this on your own. I did this screenshot like 2-3 days ago. Okay, this is Google Trends. I searched Webflow and I did 2004 until right now. And what you can see here is the beginning of a trend that we call in the startup world the hockey stick. It's basically when something starts to go up in an exponential rate. Lately, we've been seeing this graph in terms of the coronavirus in a very, very bad context. But this is the beginning of an exponential graph when the interest in something starts to grow very, very fast. And I've mentioned before, you saw the email, I got started with Webflow during 2014 when the graph was pretty low, and I was trying to preach and teach people about this. But I think it wasn't until really 2018 that it really started picking up. And 2018 and 2019 has been such a huge growth in terms of interest, because people are starting to pick up on the fact that this is a huge tool. Clients are picking up on this. Designers are picking up on this. I'm telling you this because I think that this time that we are right now in history is not going to repeat itself, right? So my prediction is that in, let's say, 3 to 5 years, okay, this is going to be, because the rate is going to go so fast, being what's called a visual developer, or a designer that can actually develop their own work with code, this is going to be like status quo, right? This is just like, a few years ago, it was obvious that, designers just do the design and then they gave it to animators to do the animation. But right now, we already have tools within, Figma or some other tools that allow us to show the interactions and stuff like that. So it's obvious that designers are going to do the interactions, right? It's very soon going to be super obvious that designers are going to be the ones who are going to develop what they design and take their word edge to edge. So what I think is right now is still the time in history where this is a huge competitive advantage. Probably in 3 to 5 years, it's going to be, everybody's going to learn that. Like you learn Figma, you learn Sketch, you learn Webflow, you learn Photoshop. It's just one of the things that you got to learn. But right now, this is a huge opportunity, and this is why I'm so excited about this. Okay. This is, up until now, was me like hyping you about Webflow. Now I actually want to dive into a little bit of content, tips, tricks, secrets, whatever you want to call this, that I think are very meaningful to me to make use of this information. Just checking out the comments just for a little bit. Are we actually 400 people live right now? Oh my God. I think this is my best live stream ever so far. Amazing. All right. Okay, so I see you guys all excited in the comments. I'm happy. All right, let's progress. All right, so let's start with secret number 1. How to recreate award-winning website effects in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. All right. So let me get started with a story. And the story is, remember at the beginning I told you I used to work, my first job, I used to work in an advertising agency. And one of the clients of the advertising agency was the movie company that kind of brings in the movies from America, and we're broadcasting them in Israel. And one of my jobs was to take these movie posters and translate them into Hebrew. So I would get the huge, like 2-3 gigabytes of PSD file with all the layers of these movie posters, and I would have to see how they were built so that I could kind of use the same effects to make these effects on Hebrew typography in Hebrew. Now, for me, this was really mind-blowing because I could see, I don't know, I was really excited about Photoshop back in the day, but I would open up the file and see like 200 layers and, adjustment layers and color layouts and all kinds of effects on the text. And I would start to drill down and learn exactly what they did there because it was amazing. It was like you get an x-ray into the minds of the best people in the world. So these are like the top level. Imagine me, first job ever. I'm a junior designer, never went to design school, don't know anything. Everything I learned is kind of like online tutorials. Now I'm getting these projects from the top people in Hollywood, and I can open up their file and see how they're working and how they're building stuff. And for me, this was a phenomenal way to learn, because once you get access to the minds of top people in your industry, that really shortcuts your success. You don't really have to invent most things. Now, I'm not talking about stealing. I'm just saying that seeing how they work literally change your understanding of how you should work, and that opens up infinite possibilities. Now, why am I telling you this story? So Remember this website, for example, the website of Hiko that I was showing you before, the award-winning website. So that's the actual website. You can see they did pretty cool stuff here, like this hover effect, like this background changing color. Like there's all kinds of really neat things that they did here. You can see when you're scrolling, it kind of moves, the text changes. There's a lot of nice things here. Obviously, it won some awards. But here's a really cool thing. Because it was built with Webflow, you can actually go on the Webflow Showcase, which shows a lot of awesome Webflow websites, and you can open up their website inside the Webflow editor, the Webflow designer. This is literally exactly like opening up the source file, the PSD of those movie posters. You can literally see how they structured everything. You can see how they created all these effects. You can see how they gave the styles. You can see how they did everything. Now, you can copy paste from here, but I'm not talking about using this for copy paste. I'm using this as a learning mechanism to see how the greatest people work and live. So here's another website that I really, really like. It's the Epic Currents website from 2018. You can open it up and you can again really, really see how because sometimes these people are so smart. They use things which are very, very basic, but they use them in a creative way. And when you see how they do it, you're like, oh, I never thought about using this thing this way. This is really, really creative. For example, here they're using the tabs component to create this kind of like thing that changes when you scroll down. You can see how they built the grid here. So everything is so visible for you to dive deep and and see how they've built this, and you can learn from this. So this is something that really, really skyrocketed my learning experience. Just the understanding, that you can reach really amazing results very, very fast if you're going to stand on the shoulders of giants. Okay, you do not have to learn everything yourself, but the platform itself is very, very powerful. Very smart and creative people have already used it, and you can learn from them, and that's going to really speed up your process. So I encourage you to go check out the Webflow Showcase, start digging into things inside there, and you'll learn a lot. All right, secret number 2. How are we doing here? 400 people. Oh my God. I'm so happy you're all here. Let me drink some water, some excitement water. All right. Okay, let's dive deep. All right. So next learning. Process is more important than tools. So again, I got started with design in Photoshop back when I was in high school, back when we had Photoshop 5.0, back when you had to illegally download Photoshop because there was no subscription or trial or anything. You just had to, front like $2,000 if you wanted to use Photoshop. And basically learned it online by taking courses from lynda.com and watching every tutorial. There was not many YouTube tutorial back in the day, but basically learned everything that I knew. But I found out that I was still not very successful. And it was really weird because I was really good. I knew what every button in the software did, but I still didn't manage to sell like a branding project or a website for more than $250. So I didn't know why, right? So what I learned is I got into my first job after advertising. I went to work in a branding company, and what was baffling to me back then is, now I did the work for them. So I'm still using the same qualities and the same software that I learned myself, but now they're taking my work and they're selling it for, $20,000-$50,000, and I'm like, wait. I'm still using the same tools. I'm still doing the same work. How come now my work, when you're selling it, how come my work is now worth, $50,000 because you're in an agency selling it? And basically I learned that it's not really how you use the tool. It's more to have a process, okay? You have to use your tools, and you have to use your knowledge in a context of a process. So now, as a web designer, right, it doesn't really matter. I'm really good with Webflow. I'm really good with Photoshop. But I have to put this in a process that makes it a profitable business, okay? So I want to share with you basically what my process looks like, okay? So first of all, I need to make sure that I know how to sell Webflow to my clients, okay? If part of the process is setting the context correctly, because if I want to work with Webflow because I understand all the benefits, but the client wants me to work with WordPress or something like that, then I won't be able to deliver as fast, as profitable as I want to. And so part of what makes my process profitable is that I know how to sell Webflow to a client. Then, because I know I'm going to develop it with Webflow, I'm already designing with development in mind. And that is, I already understand the frameworks of how Webflow works, how the web works in general. And I can design for that. I can say, so one thing, before I use Webflow, every time I design a website, I had to design the desktop, I had to design the tablet, I had to design the mobile. I had this kind of sketch file with all the different breakpoints. But now, because I really understand it, I can just design the desktop because I can already see in my hand how I'm going to use Webflow to make this responsive. And so by having the development in mind, I save up time because now I don't have to develop, or I don't have to design up front in my design file all the different breakpoints. And so it makes my process really much more efficient, which obviously makes me much more profitable because it shortened my process. Then obviously it does matter if you know how to use the tool correctly and efficiently to make sure you're developing responsively and fast and proficient. But then after you finish, and this is not less important, you have to know how to hand it over to your clients, because if you don't do the handoff correctly, what will happen is that your clients will bug you down. Oh, but how do you do this? Or, hey, I need you to change this. Or, hey, you forgot to do this. And then this is going to consume so much of your time, and this is going to be so frustrating that, again, it's going to hurt your profitability. So having that kind of a complete process for how you do the perfect handoff, you make sure that you teach them how to use. So I have kind of a framework. I'm using Loom, which you might be familiar with. It records my screen and myself. I use this to kind of create CMS training for them, to teach them how to maintain their own websites. And I kind of have this checklist of things that I do when I hand off the website to make sure that they're happy. I don't have to answer any more questions afterwards, and we can separate as friends. They're not gonna hunt me down for changes later down the line. And again, what I want basically is happy clients and profits. So basically, that's my process. All right, number 3. How to make your clients fall in love with Webflow. So I've seen this a little bit in the comments. Wow, what if my clients don't want to pay this? But what if my clients don't like Webflow, and so forth? So I'm going to talk about how to sell Webflow. But I think if you're smart, you're going to listen in. This is basically how to sell anything, right? Okay, so let's dive into it. First of all, understand good ideas don't sell themselves. All right, this was one of my huge mistakes as a junior designer. I'm sure a lot of you are struggling with this as well. I thought, I'm just going to do something good. They're going to understand it's good, and we can keep going from there. But if you know the design cliches, if you show them, if you show your clients 2 ideas, one that you like and one that they hate, they're going to pick the one that you hate, right? Because good ideas don't sell themselves. You need to explain, you need to articulate why you made those choices and why they should go with what you want them to go. Okay? So you need to know this and you need to practice this. Here's how this works. First step of the process, you need to familiarize yourselves with the ins and outs of Webflow. Again, I'm talking about the context of Webflow, but also consider this in the grander scheme of things about how to sell. If you want to sell something, your services as a designer, you want to sell them on working with Webflow, you want to sell a car, whatever, you need to really, really know this thing, okay? You need to know what are all the features. You need to know what's possible and what's not possible. You need to you need to know, how much it costs. You need to know, what's the difference between this and that. You really, really need to know yourself, okay? Because they're probably going to have questions, and you need to understand how to explain it to them. So first step, really know what you're talking about. If you're not going to know what you're talking about, you have no chance in selling anything. Step 2, use it for yourself. Okay, if you are not sold on the thing that you are selling, it's going to be very, very difficult to sell it to other people. But once you do that, and with Webflow, it's easy. My personal website, my portfolio website, lansegan.com, is built with Webflow. I pay for their hosting. Why am I paying for their hosting? Why am I building my website with Webflow? Because I understand the advantages. Why am I paying for hosting? Because I know that it saves me time. And I know that when it saves me time, it saves me money. So I understand all the benefits and I use them for myself. And when you say, hey, I buy it for myself, I personally do that. I'm not trying to sell you something that I think is just whatever, frog in a box. I don't know what the phrase is. But I'm actually buying this myself from my own money. I'm not telling you to buy something that I wouldn't buy. I bought this for myself. If you do this, if you get this for yourself because you really believe in this, then obviously it's going to be super, super convincing, right? Now, the next step is, before we go out and try to convince people and try to sell it to them, what you really want to do is you want to understand what's their concerns and you want to understand what they need, okay? And based on that, because you have a great understanding of the solution, because this was step number 1, to really understand what you're trying to sell here, and now you understand what they need and you understand what their concerns are, now you can educate them in a proper way. If their concern is security, then you can talk about security. If their concern is how much it costs, then you can talk about how much money it will save them. Then once you understand this, you can have this as a discussion. And sometimes, really, because you're going to be honest, and I'm always 100% honest with my clients, sometimes you're going to say, you know what? In this case, I don't think it's a good idea for you. And I've had to say this about Webflow a few times with my clients, specifically some clients, especially in the e-commerce website, which Webflow has e-commerce, but is not right now as developed as Shopify, for example. Sometimes you have to say, well, in this case, I probably suggest you would go with Shopify. Now, I still think that you can use Webflow to develop the website, and then we can export it and maybe turn it into a Shopify theme. But in terms of running your website, you should probably run with something like Shopify. So I always think that you should be honest. You should be 100% clear. For the majority of my clients that I work with, so I would say like 95 to 98% of my clients, when I really understand their concerns and their needs, I believe this is the best solution for them. So I will try my best to explain to them why I think this is the best solution for them. And again, I don't try to push it for them because I make more money out of it, because I really, really think that's going to be helpful for them and they're going to love it. If they're not, I'm going to be honest with them. Okay? So basically, this is what I think. The last thing is showing people how stuff actually looks like is very, very powerful, and it's a lot of times more powerful than actually just telling them. So if you have your own website built on Webflow, for example, you can just say, hey, come on, I want to show you how this happened. Check this out. This is how you edit the website. This is how this is how you make changes. This is blah, blah, blah. You can show them, you want to publish. Here's how you do this. And a lot of times just showing this to people is just mind-blowing, because again, if their context is, oh, I used to work with WordPress websites and fill out all these forms and update plugins and whatnot, then this is going to be really, really mind-blowing for a lot of them, and it's going to do the work for you. All right. Okay. So, to sum up what we've been talking about. First, you can create amazing work if you learn from the industry best. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel. If you get kind of an inside look into how really great people think, you can learn a lot and you can improve your process. You need to create a good process for your stuff. If you want to make your work efficient or profitable, tools are great, and I'm all for tools and I'm all for learning tools. But you need to wrap this up around a process. And the last thing is you need to learn how to sell these processes. If you can't sell your process, then the process is no good. Hey Zimri, good to see you on the stream. Thank you for joining. A lot of good people here. Oh my God, 450. I'm like, as we go along, my mind is just explode. My best stream ever. I think I will start doing more streams now. Now that you're all home, I think I'm going to start doing more streams. All right. So, where do we go from here? If you only leave right now, my friends, don't leave right now, but if you only leave right now, here's what I want you to get from today. I want you to understand that if you learn how to build your own websites, this is going to give you an unbelievable edge. And an unbelievable edge is what you need right now, okay? This is where the world is going for. You've seen the graph. People are going to, it's going to be very obvious that designers also code and build their designs out, okay? So it's not learning how to code. There are alternative tools today, and visual development and no-code tools are picking up steam very, very fast. Now is the time to do this. You can increase the profitability of your business. You can deliver better products. You can do it faster. You can be independent and not wait for other people to do what you ask them to do and be annoyed when they're not doing exactly what you want to do because they're not as pixel perfect as you would like to be. So please, please, please understand that this is going to give you an advantage. All right. So let's hear from Tara. Tara, my friend, said, the ability to offer design development is a huge win for my business. My clients absolutely love it. And the more I spend with Webflow, the less I want to work with another platform. It's amazing. And I continually impressed with each update. As a designer, having more control over every aspect of the design, every breakpoint, without having to wait and pay for somebody to make these changes is a game changer. I agree, Tara. And thank you for sending me the card. I don't know if you're on the stream. Tara sent me a really nice card for this year. So thank you, Tara. As a designer, Kevin, as a designer, an entrepreneur, I tried different solutions for helping my clients with well-designed and smart websites. Webflow has been a game changer, even if a learning process is necessary. This is from Kevin, who, by the way, have a YouTube channel, but it's in French, I think. So he talks about Webflow in French. All right, people. So what are your options? Your options are to go at it alone, and there's a lot of cool materials, both here on YouTube. A lot of good people are talking about Webflow. There's good stuff from the Webflow University. You can go at it alone, or you can shortcut your way into mastery. And wait for it. I'm going to talk now about the new Webflow Masterclass. And you knew it. You knew I was going to do this, but I'm so excited about this because we spent the last 3 months rebuilding this thing from scratch to make this the most amazing thing that's going to shortcut your success. And so I want to talk about this, and I want you to stick with me because this is going to be incredible. All right, I really want to show you how this looks like from the inside and what you're going to get. So let's check this out. First of all, Mr. Christo, you might have known him, said this is a great course by Ran Sega. Shows you how to use Webflow to build pixel-perfect website in minutes without a developer. Super clean code, productivity booster. Bang. Thank you, Chris. What else? My presentation doesn't want to work. Damn presentation. David, learning Webflow today with Ron, was able to build responsive one-pager in 2 hours. Never thought I'd build something so good so fast. Dang. Michael, if you're a designer looking to build custom design website without learning how to code. All right. You know what? I'm not even going to cry. Read this because I want to jump into this. I want to show you the demo. I want to show you what's going on inside here. How do you do this? Wait a second. All right. So here's how the actual course looks like. All right. So we're using a platform called Teachable. Those are the videos. I want to show you basically kind of how the videos look like. So the first things that we're getting started with, we're calling it Master the Fundamentals. So it's okay if you don't have any context, you've never used Webflow in the past, you don't know how to code, you don't know what's HTML, CSS, whatever. We're going to get you from scratch, take to master everything, the layout tools, the everything, right? So what is grid, what is flexbox, and for everything we've also created this time, we've created interactive exercises. So really challenges for you to solve, to really grasp how you make these things, how you create these layouts, how you create these interactions. Because you know what? A lot of people watch the tutorials, but they don't understand what the practical use case of this and how do you use this to do what you actually want to do. And so we've made this interactive right now to really try to make sure that you really understand everything. And we've made responsiveness challenges, and we've made stuff for you to actually practice. So once we get the fundamentals done, talking to you about how to structure things, how to style efficiently, all those type of things, we're putting this all together to show you that you can literally build anything you want. I'm going to show you how you can actually build a project that I got paid $3,000 to do. You're going to be doing that in like an hour. Okay, and then again, custom layout challenge. Then we're talking about dynamic website, CMS, all that type of stuff. And then we're going to dive into interactions and animation. And again, we have some really cool challenges, and you'll be building things like this. So all these kind of like parallax effects, really understanding how to build this, how to structure this so that you can build this really cool interactions and fancy and deep with like 3D and all that type of stuff. Make sure that you understand this. Now, we're going to finish it off by you having to do kind of a final project. So everybody in the course is doing kind of a final project on a topic that they love. I did it on snowboarding because I'm into snowboarding. And you build this with all the interactions, make sure it's responsive, using all these kind of effects. And once you do this, you send this to us, and we're going to check it. We're going to make sure that you really understand how to do this. If you do, we're going to send you a certificate. If not, we're going to work with you until you understand everything. So this is the final challenge. Then we're going into advanced use cases. Then we're going to talk about the process. So again, I talked before about how important it is to have a complete process. So process for working with your clients, that's here, right? How to sell it to them, how to deliver it to them, how to do the CMS training, how to price it, showing you my own proposals. So we've got everything here, and then you have a whole module which is me live building a client website, and it's one of the websites that I showed you before for W. You're gonna watch me build this live. It's like, I think it's 7 hours, right? I told you the website took 7 hours, so it's basically like 7 hours of content, just that. Beyond, I think, like the 13 or 12 hours of content. So just to give you a little bit of context, this is an image from Kiev. I did this workshop training, Webflow training in Kiev last year, and it took 3 days to do the whole workshop, and everybody paid, everybody there. It was, I think, like priced 2,500 euros per person. So this is basically the cost of what you're getting, but you're getting this online, which means you don't have to travel to Kiev with all the coronavirus issues, and you don't have to pay 2,500 euros, right? You can learn at your own pace from home. So that's, first of all, the context. Now, on top of that, what those people didn't get and you are getting in the Webflow Masterclass is our private community. We have a private community on Facebook, and we have a private community on Sketch. Whatever fits your communication needs. I just saw the "can I pay you in toilet paper?" Yes, please send toilet paper. I will give you the address to my home later on. Just want to show you some of the stuff that goes on into that was really funny. So a lot of good stuff is happening in the group. So right, a lot of times I'm not taking projects anymore. So anytime I have projects coming in, I pass them to my students. Students themselves collaborate on gigs. So in this post, Jess was looking for somebody to collaborate with, and then he wrote here he collaborated with Brad. We've done our first collaboration, and this is the result that they did after 1 week. They created this really nice watch website, really cool. And there's a lot of other things going on, right? So a few days ago, we did a call with MemberStack about how to build membership websites, and now we're adding this as a content to the course. Here's a post from Lee from a few days ago. Just finished his website. Want some feedback? Bam! 15 comments of people, growth-minded designer helping each other. Everybody wants the other people to succeed, so it's really, really an amazing community. Also, each month we're holding up challenges for the students. We call it Flux Pro Challenge, where we give them the AirPods Pro for the best winner of each challenge, which is usually a web design challenge. So last month was February, right? So February we did our challenge was to design this website for a nonprofit fighting against racism. So Enrico redesigned this. So that's his redesign, and he built this in Webflow within a couple of days. There were really amazing submissions. He won. He got the AirPods Pro. So this is really good because it pushes the students to work together, of course, for a common good, but also practice their design skills. And also they're getting gifts, which is like, I don't know how much is it. I think it's like $250. And it's really good. It's really good. It's one of those things that you're feeling bad about buying for yourself, but it's so fun when you get it as a gift. Trust me, I know. All right, here's one more thing which is really important. So here's an email I got like 2 days ago, and I screenshot and put it here. So I got this email that says, this is Bob here on the left. Bob is one of our support team, and he's really, really helping people out in the comments, in the Facebook group. Everybody that struggles, Bob is there to help, and he's amazing. So I just got this email that says, just wanted to say that Bob is very, very helpful with my questions, and response time is really short. There's so much useful information on both Flux Academy and YouTube, but when you're trying to develop your own project, it's easy to drown in the Webflow ocean. And I wanted to congratulate you on deciding to have such a top-level customer help desk. This is important just as much as the product itself, if not more. So keep up the good work, guys. Thanks again. So I really think this is super important because information is great, but it's only when you take action on the information that you actually learn. And when you take action on the information, a lot of times you struggle. And we're here for you. I'm helping out, Bob helping out. A lot of the other students are helping each other out. So it's really, really a supportive community, and I love it. And as I've mentioned before, you're gonna get a certificate. Don't read the little words right now because I've got typos there. I know people already mentioned it to me. I know there's typos. I write things fast. I'll fix the typos before I will send the certificate to our members. But these certificates are gonna be sent to people who complete their final project, and we've seen them, we went through them, we saw that they're structuring correctly, they're styling correctly, and really they're a Webflow professional, and we'll be glad to refer projects to them because we know they can build stuff. So how much is it run? So the Webflow Masterclass is selling for $695, and we're gonna sell it on $442 up until Monday, which is tomorrow, depending on what you see this. End of day tomorrow. We're giving a huge discount. So take advantage of this. You can do this by either the link here on the screen. There's also a link in the description below. I really, really suggest. We're also actually doing something even better, which is the Web Designer Bundle. So we also have a different course. So the Webflow course is obviously about how to build out your designs with Webflow. But what we figured out is that a lot of people also need help on the design aspect, right? So how to design good website, how to work with clients on a strategic level to understand their website goals so that we can charge, instead of $1,000, we can charge $10,000. And that's what we're talking and teaching about in the $10,000 website process. And so usually we don't have the bundle, but for this case we've relaunched the bundle, which usually cost $1,190, and we're selling it for $756. That's over $450 off. So do not miss out this opportunity because it is crazy. Not only it is crazy, we are so sure that it is crazy that we're offering 30-day money back guaranteed, no questions asked. We trust you. We know it's going to be good for you. And so there's literally no risk on your part. You do it, you take action, you succeed. If you figure out, well, it's not for me, I actually know all this stuff, I'm actually amazing, no worries, you're going to get your money back. Here's Tom while I'm drinking some more excitement water.
Before I took Ron's Webflow Masterclass, I was turning down clients all the time because they wanted web design and development. I couldn't offer this, but now I can. And I'm making twice as much money doing so. Thanks, Ron.
If you could not hear what he had to say because you're looking at his amazing hair or Tesla, he basically said he stopped leaving money off the table because before he was just offering web design but not development. So stop leaving money on the table. All right, time for Q&A. Wait, before we do the Q&A, there's questions that always repeat themselves. So let me get started with that before we dive into your questions. The questions are, do I need some coding experience? No, you don't need any coding experience. Second common question, so what's the difference between this and the Webflow University? They also have videos. It's free. What's the difference? Well, the way that I look at this is this. First of all, I love Webflow University. I've been at their studio. I think it's great, okay? However, here's my question to you. What would you rather do? Would you rather go to some kind of a college and spend 4 years learning from a professor who has a lot of academic knowledge about stuff? Or would you rather go to an internship, a 1 month internship with a practitioner that's actually working in the market and is actually doing the actual work? This is how I would see things. I think Webflow are great professors. Obviously, they created the product. Obviously, they have good production value to their videos. However, they're only talking about theory. They don't really, I think, understand or explain or talk about how to put this in client work context. Client work context is a little bit different sometimes. As a practitioner, my goals are sometimes different. I want to do things fast. I want to do things that work. I want to be efficient. I want to be profitable. I need to work with clients. I need to work with their requests on stuff that sometimes Webflow, you have to work around what Webflow currently has or the way that it works. And so that's how I see it. Would you rather go to learn from theory oriented or practitioner? So that's what we have. We have more focus on the process. We also have, again, we have the benefit of working with over 2,000 people who went through this program. We're getting their feedback. We've created the more interactive version based on where we see people don't understand the struggle and put this in a more practical context. And so we wrap this around with the community and with the support and with everything that you need to make sure that you actually succeed. Our goal here is for you to make 10 times, ROI, return on your investment. This is how I measure success. I don't care, how good you are or whatever, right? We want you to do things correctly so that you'll be more efficient, so that you'll do things faster, so that you'll be more profitable. That's what we care about. All right. So those are usually the questions. Now I'm going to move this here so I can look at your actual questions, and I'm going to start answering your questions. Now, I think there were probably a little bit in delay. So by the time that you write this, I don't know when I'm seeing this, but you can start popping in your questions and I'll start answering the questions. All right. Not actually teaching how to create a website. Oh, okay. How do you get clients and how do you find work? All right, Ritesh. This question has nothing to do with Webflow, but I'd love to answer it in either case. I think right now it's not fair to me to answer the truth, because the truth is right now I don't do anything and clients come to me and they want to work with me. But this is looking at me after literally almost 20 years of freelancing, out of them 6 or 7 years full-time freelancing, and before that I did freelancing on the side while working full time. And during this whole time, I've built relationships and I've built referrals and I had clients send other people to. So right now, the question is not what I'm doing right now, because right now I have a brand. Right now I'm getting so much inbound that I'm not doing anything. But I don't think that you need to compare yourself to me, because I didn't start out this way. And so if I would rephrase your question, what would you do if you were starting out from scratch right now? I think that I would do two things. First of all, step number one, which is what I did when I started, is you let everybody you know that you're a designer, you're excited about doing this, and if they need anything, they should talk to you, right? Your family, your close friends, your whatever, everybody that you know. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be amazing projects, because I've shared with you that originally I worked on shit projects as well. So this is not going to be amazing. This is step number one. Step number two is knowing what I know today, I would probably be act a little bit different than what I originally did. Because when I started out, I had no idea about marketing, about niching, about sales. I didn't know anything. If I had to do this from scratch today, I would make a decision to focus on specific niche. I would learn about that niche. I would start to get involved with that niche. And in niche, I mean a specific segment of the market. My niche ended up being like startups, B2B, complicated startups at an early stage. But I didn't understand this. I just, rolled over to that place by happenstance. It wasn't a choice that I was thinking about. But if I would start off from scratch today, I would make a decision and I would think about this. I would think about what leverage do I have? Who do I know in what industry? Who has money to pay me for a project in the area where I want to, work in? So I would be a little bit more elaborate. And while hustling for all my friends and family and bad clients, I would slowly start to build a brand and credibility and network within the niche that I'm aiming for. And then I would, hopefully after a while, start to get clients that way. Let's move on into another question. Grant, hey Ran, am I able to complete your web masterclass in a month or less? Grant, yes. So as I've said, the Webflow Masterclass is about 12 hours of video, the actual course, and then there's probably about like 6 or 7 more hours, which is just the walkthrough of me building the W website. But that's kind of an extra. You don't really have to do this. So if we'll take the original 12 hours, and then you'll want to do the exercises and the challenges and your final project, let's say it's going to take you 5 to 10 hours more, then I believe that in 25, 30 hours, you can do it. Now, depending on how many hours you can put into this during your weekend, or I don't know if you're home quarantine right now or you will be next week, you might have more free time. But I assume that it's going to take you 25 to 30 hours of work into this. So think about how much can you do weekly, and then think, is this feasible in a month? Okay. I'm from India. Clients approach Indian designers for economic solutions with world-class standards. Do you think we can be selling 20K websites from here? Yes, I definitely think that you can, because I think that the people pay for value, right? If an American agency, for example, if they hire an agency from England, for example, let's say, first thing that you need to understand is that the best clients in the world are not only judging or selecting vendors based on price. There's a lot of clients who only want the cheapest solution. However, there's a lot of clients who don't pick based on price. They pick based on other things. Other things can be quality of work, brand, time zone difference, service, stuff like that. So when an agency, let's say let's say an English company is looking for a design. They can hire people in England. They can hire other people in other places in the world, right? In Europe, or maybe in the US, or maybe in India. Now let's say what they look to find is the best thing. So if you can compete on the best, right? Not on price, on the best. If you can beat, let's say, an agency from Amsterdam on quality, service, all these other things which clients see as the best, then yes, they will pay you the $20,000. They're not going to say, hey, but you're from India, so we can get it for less, right? So I think it really is up to which clients do you work with. All right, let's see what other questions we have here. Everyone is just typing. Whoa, it's moving too fast. Okay. Let's see. If I design Adobe XD websites, don't want to coding. Okay, so I don't understand the question. Jake, how does Webflow work when the clients want to edit stuff? All right, so there's the CMS. Let me jump into Webflow and just show you how a CMS looks like. So I'll share my screen in a second. Let me see. I'm just opening up the editor here so that I can show you. Okay, wait a second. Okay, so this is the Protantex website, and what you're seeing right now is the Webflow editor, right? So what we've seen before is the designer, where you can literally design things. This is the editor. So note when I'm going over text here, you get this kind of a text thing. And now, just like any text editor, I can input text here. Okay, they can literally visually edit the text here. Now, so of course they can change images, they can change the whole text here. But there's also, let me see if I created some dynamic content here. No, so here there's no dynamic content. But if it was dynamic content, they could add more blog posts. They can add, so this is an earlier version. They can add team members. They can add a lot of other stuff. They can also change SEO settings, such as, what they see on Google and, whatever. All these other SEO properties. Basically, this is how they see this. So I hope this makes sense. Let me go back into the questions. Well, okay. Okay, so there's a question. What's the difference between the new and the old Webflow Masterclass? All right, so basically, we re-recorded everything from scratch. So we took feedback, we did a survey, we really wanted to understand what people struggle with when they finish the course. We wanted to understand what wasn't clear enough. And so we recreated everything from scratch. We've added all the interactive challenges and practice files, which we didn't have before. We've added the final project. So basically, all the content is new. We have the support. We have Bob now on the team to make sure that everybody gets support as much as possible. And and we have the whole certification process, which we didn't have before, when we're actually reviewing your work and making sure that you've actually learned something, and you didn't watch the videos, but you didn't actually learn stuff. So that's basically what's new. Should I use Webflow if I'm already expert in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? So Arshad, I think my perspective would be yes, because, and I'll give a little bit of a technical answer for people who understand HTML and CSS. So for example, when we're doing a layout that's custom layout, a lot of time we would use something like Flexbox, right? So Flex is a very, very powerful CSS layout tool. And to customize it with code to really set up the properties, you might have to write something like 10 lines of code just to lay out something with Flexbox. But with Webflow, you just have an interface for that. So you can do the same thing by just clicking 3 buttons. So let's just put a timer on you writing 10 lines of code and me just doing click, click, click. I'm done, right? So for me, it's 10 times more faster just using user interface instead of doing things manually. It's, I don't know, right? It's like horse versus a car, right? If you have a tool that allows you to go 10 times more faster, why wouldn't you do this? And if you're like an expert coder, you might start saying, yeah, but there are things that you can't really do right, because at the end of the day, there is a little bit of an abstraction when you're creating this this UI. However, I find that for my needs and for my clients' need, for about 90% of the cases, I don't really need anything that's not within the actual thing. So 10% of the time, I might use some extra custom code just to do something that's a little bit outside of what's possible with the UI, but for most cases, it's good enough. Florent, in what case, apart from big websites such as Facebook or Twitter, is it not useful to use Webflow? So, Florent, yeah, this is a good question, because I think there's a little bit of a mistake here. Facebook or Google or Twitter are not websites. They are actually apps. Okay, those are applications that have really complex interactions, users, logics within them. Those are not websites. It's true, we're consuming them on the browser, but it's applications. It's much closer to what you have in an app on the iPhone rather than a website. And so for these types of apps, Webflow currently is not ideal. But most of company websites and content website that you're browsing on is websites. And those are ideal to build with Webflow. But apps are not ideal at the moment. I hope they're going to move into the apps area in the future. But right now, it's not ideal. I mean, you can't build apps with Webflow. Anika Flux, what's happening? Yes, it's all happening. It's all happening. All right, why would you prefer Webflow over some good WordPress theme builder like Elementor? All right, so we can open up my rant about WordPress, but here's my thing. First of all, you can watch my video where I already do this rant, but I just don't like WordPress. Why would I, as a designer, have to install now a WordPress installation on some kind of a server and then have to use a password for it and then install themes, install plugins, install all that stuff? I want to make sure that I spend time designing, right? I want to design, then I want to transfer the website seamlessly to my clients, help them push it live, use a great CMS. I hate WordPress. I mean, we can talk about all the other things like hosting, like security liabilities. There's a lot of issues to go down, but at the end of the day, as a designer, I don't want to work with WordPress. It takes a lot of work and effort that has nothing to do with my work and where I bring value to my clients. So I just don't want to do it. All right, Daniel, do you think somebody can be a good web designer without natural talent? If yes, where would you start, and what is important to be a good web designer? What is the most important to position yourself as spec? All right, Daniel. Look, talent is important, because talent is important to get you started, but it's not important long term. Long term, it's mostly dedication, hard work. You might have an easier start if you have a lot of talent, but in the long run, it's just learning and practicing, right? I mean, there's a lot of skills that goes into web design, from understanding how to structure things correctly, how to tell a story, how to make something beautiful, how to make something memorable, how to make it useful. Each one of these things is a skill that you can learn, that you can read a book about, that you can take a course on, that you can have some principles. And every time that you practice with every project, you're going to be improving and improving and improving. So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a little bit easier if you got started with a talent, but if this is what you want to do, I wouldn't be discouraged by talent. I can share with you where I'm sure it's pretty common with designers that we have this feeling that we are not talented and that everybody else on world is more talented than us. But the truth is, you're probably looking at people who are doing this for like 15 years and have put a lot of hard work, and you're like 2 years in, and you didn't put up as many hours yet. So this is unfair comparison. So just stop doing it to yourself and put your head down and keep working. And I know it's hard to do because I struggled with this every day. I scroll on Instagram and see people, and I say, dang, they're much more talented than me. How can I teach people? Oh, I'm a fraud because I'm not as talented as they. But it happens to everybody, and you just can't let this stop you from doing what you want to do. All right. Whoa. How much does an expert Webflow earn? From those of you who are on the side, how hard it is to be. Look, I think this question is such a generic question. I mean, go on Google and search average, whatever. The answer is not going to be important. You can make as much as you want to make if you're good and if you know how to sell, and if you have a good, if you have a good product and you know how to market it, and your product is the website that you can build, and marketing is understanding how to bring this to people who can value from it, then you can make a lot of money, right? I shared that I personally made around $250,000 per year just from selling websites, and I'm a one person. There are complete agencies who do it for millions. So, it depends on your motivation, your skills, your business practice. I like how you figured out that if you copy and paste the question in 10 comments, I'll see it. All right, David, what about Webflow and GDPR? I'm from Germany. All right. GDPR, for those of you who don't know, it's the rules that the European did. That's why we're seeing all these pop-ups on every single website, because in Europe, if you're not going to put this pop-up and other million other things, you're going to be like, they're going to sue you for 20 million euros or something like that. So the answer is there are third-party tools that take care of this for you. It's very, very easy to integrate within Webflow. I specifically use a tool. I think it's called Banda or something like this. I think I covered it in a previous video. But you create an account, you pay a subscription for it, like a yearly license or something like that. Then you just copy and paste the code into your Webflow website, and bam, you're safe. And it's easy. What is the difference between UX design and coding? If I finish the design with Adobe XD, don't want to make it coding. I mean, this question, I don't really understand it, or I don't think that it's logically explained. UX design has nothing to do with coding, right? UX design, user experience design, is us planning to make sure that we're solving a problem in a way that is meaningful for the consumer. So that's just the planning part of it. It's even before the user interface design, before we even go and do this visually and beautifully. So it's just the planning. It has nothing to do with the coding. So if you look at it from like the process perspective, then you get started with the UX, with thinking about what is this project, how do we want to structure it. So should we have this page, should we have this button, and then we move to UI. We say, okay, let's make this blue, let's use this font, and then we go into development, which is, you can call it code or Webflow or whatever, and we can build out this whole design that we planned. So it's completely different. It's different part of the process. Where to find high ticket clients? Marco, the answer is everywhere. Okay, they're everywhere. There's high-paying clients in every category. Okay, there's high-paying real estate clients. There are high-paying, tech clients. There are high-paying, whatever. Rich people, just like oligarchs, whatever. There's high-level musician, sports people. There's high-paying clients in every category. Okay, pick your category and then figure out how to get and serve the top of the pyramid. There's always a top of a pyramid for every industry. Can I create a funnel with Webflow like ClickFunnels to buy? Yes, I actually have my funnel in a way is set up with Webflow, and so yeah, you can do that. Differently. Run. How do you accommodate for landscape tablet in Webflow without the breakpoint? Dino, so if that's really something that's critical for you, you can add custom breakpoints. I think we even have a video on YouTube about how to do this, so it's not really a huge problem if that's important for you. What challenges do you think Webflow still needs to improve in order to be systematically applied among app development? So again, I think app development currently is very far. Webflow are not really trying to be an app development platform at this point. I hope they will be one day, but right now it looks like it's not on the plan, at least not on the plan that I know about. And I can definitely think they can work up their e-commerce game, but I'm not too much into e-commerce, but I do know that they're lacking in features right now, so yeah. Hey Ron, do I need a portfolio before finding and presenting myself to clients? Maria? The answer is no, you don't have to. It's helpful though, It really depends how you find clients. I mean, I think it's helpful if you have a website. However, don't let the fact that you don't have a website to be an excuse for why you're not reaching out to clients. And if your clients are being referred to you from friends, family, and something like that, a lot of times, because the trust translates from one person to the other. So if somebody recommends and they really trust you, and the person being referred really trusts your friends, sometimes they would just say, David told me you're an amazing designer, so let's work together. They're not even ask about the portfolio because they trust you. So it's helpful to build trust, but if the trust is already there, it's not really necessary. Let me, I'm getting tired. Let me get some water. I'm probably not going to be able to talk tomorrow. TikTok. How can I add my own code into a Webflow website? August, this is really easy. There's a custom code component which you can just throw in and add code. You can also add for each page through the page setting some custom code to the head or to the body. You can do this from the project setting where you can add this globally for all pages. So it's really, really easy. My questions: how to become a user interface expert? Any idea? Plus how to see what's coming in UI trends. UI expert. I don't even know what that means, UI expert. I don't know what it means. I think you can be a good UI designer. UI expert? I don't know. I would say just practice. What's coming in trends is easy. You can see it all around, but I don't think that's I always say to be careful with trends. You need to know what's going on, and you can always see this on websites like awards or what's trending. There's every year this year gradients is going to be trending, or 3D is going to be trending. I think that's kind of boring. I think you need to be aware of it, but you don't have to necessarily do this. This is not what makes you an expert. Hey Ron, how to embed video in Webflow without using YouTube, Vimeo, or background video tool? All right, So first of all, you can use third-party hosting tools like Wistia, for example. So Wistia is kind of a professional video embedding tool. Then you host it, and then they're giving you a code which you can use in an embed code. Another way to do this, which I did, is just upload a video to. So for example, you can actually open up an Amazon S3 is their hosting thing. You can actually open up an Amazon S3 hosting account pretty cheaply, like I think $0, and they're charging you based on how many downloads there are. So it's literally almost nothing. And then you upload the video to there, and then you embed it using code. So it's hosted on Amazon, and then you can just embed it. That's what we did in the Protantex website. Do you think learning 3D a valuable skill for a designer instead of 2D illustrations? I think so. Here's my thing. I would love to be amazing at 2D illustrations and 3D work. I always envy all these people who can do these amazing things, but I realize that for myself personally, what I'm really good at is working with the clients, understanding their problems and solving their problems. So if I want to focus on that, I'll never be as good as somebody who's all in on illustration and 3D. So I just gave up on that, and I'll just say I'll hire somebody who's really the best with 3D, and let me do the thing which I think is great. So this is the approach that worked for me. However, I do think that it's really great to build visual making capabilities. And again, if I could do that myself, I could make more money, because right now I'm outsourcing some of my work, so I'm paying somebody else. If I could do the 3D myself, I would make that money. So it's always a good approach. I mean, if you're intrigued by it, if you want to learn it, put in the work. Yeah, I think it's great. Which one is better? I think they're both great, and I think the thing about learning them is that you'll be biased, right? If you'll know 3D, you'll probably want to use 3D on every project. If you'll know how to illustrate, you'll probably want to illustrate on every project. But not every project needs 3D or needs illustration. So when you're too much invested in one style, particularly, it might not be a good fit for every client. So yeah, that's my thought about that. I hope you guys are nice in the comments. I see some nasty comments. Be good, friends. Whoa, this goes out so fast. What do you think about the future of design? Will these still needs hiring designers? What about AI? Are we in a bubble? Kind of. Sometimes it seems it's too many of us. No, Camille, I don't think. I think designers is something that we'll need more of. There's a lot of jobs that are going to go down, but I don't think design is one of them. Because there's more and more and more tech companies, digital products, businesses that need websites, content platforms, and everybody needs designers, right? And AI is not going to replace design, at least not for the foreseeable future, because creativity is one thing that they're really, really struggling with, understanding context, problem solving, and that kind of stuff. So the way I see it, and I project, I think that design is going to be a much, much more valuable skills as time goes by. In 5 years, will they be developing with Webflow or developing for the whatever, augmented reality thing? Maybe, I don't know. But I think that being able to understand problems, solve them in a visual way, understand user experience and how to communicate, those skills are going to be highly valuable no matter what the output platform is going to be. Would you say that web design is different part of UI and UX? Does it help learning UI and UX learning? Yeah, so I did have a video about this or a post about this, or I don't remember, but in a way I answered this question before I remember, because I think a lot of time people say UI and UX and they are really oriented on product design such as apps and stuff like that. But in the context of web design, a lot of times we also have the need for storytelling, because we are a lot of times building a website for a business and we need to tell a story. So you need to understand storytelling. You need to understand sales. So you do have to know, when you're a web designer, you do need to understand UX and UI, but that's not enough. You also need to understand storytelling, marketing, sales, and that type of stuff, because usually a website has these goals and you need to understand these things if you want to be able to deliver good websites. Okay, friends, I'm getting tired. I think I'll do like 1 or 2 more questions and then I'm going to hit the bed. It's like 10 p.m. here. All right. Hey, Ron, what's the best way to hand off Webflow website? All right, brownies, I'll share my favorite way. My favorite way is to transfer the website to a client's account. And that way, they can host it. They can pay for the hosting. They actually own the website. So even though Webflow allows you to host on your own account and then charge your clients through a feature called client billing, my favorite way is to let them have ownership of the website. I go into more depth in the course about why, or the pros and cons of each of the approaches, but this is my favorite ones. Last question for today. Can you mirror all designs on Webflow without redoing them and put all the content and flows inside? Is there a way to go fast on the switching? Unfortunately, the answer to that is no. There's no import function to Webflow, which is frustrating. I have to admit, it could have been really cool, but currently they don't have this. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for staying here so long. It's been really, really a pleasure. It was really, really fun for me. I hope it was fun and valuable for you. Of course, go buy the new Webflow Masterclass and the Web Designer Bundle. But if you don't, I still love you. I still want you to succeed. I think that now that we have more time at home, I think I'm going to do more live stream. It'll be really fun to talk to you more. And I'm actually also thinking of going back into vlogging a little bit, just to show kind of like we're in a crazy situation right now with the coronavirus. So just to give you a little behind the scenes view of, my life with my family and my business and everything. I hope you're taking care of yourself, of your business, of your family, and you're staying healthy. I love you all a lot. Thank you. Have an awesome, awesome day, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye-bye.